This is absolutely crazy. Check this out. I'm looking. We're about to go live on Rumble. The link was cut again. So hold on one second, everybody. This is absolutely crazy. What are they doing? I tell you what. Anyway, welcome to another edition of the Red Pill Diaries. I'm your host Rashid, and hopefully they're not doing this on Odyssey. No, the Odyssey link is working. So they're messing with the Rumble link, all right, to try to stop the growth from Rumble. So this means that I am going to have to start, and I'm talking about in the next few days, doing an exclusive, at least one exclusive Rumble stream every week because they are trying to stop the growth on Rumble. Okay, twice in a day they've broken the link, and it has to be StreamYard. It has to be. Cannot be anybody else because we're broadcasting through StreamYard. But anyway, today's show is titled The World as It Is. I'd like to thank everybody for viewing me, those who would have viewed me from Rumble, those who are viewing me from the Red Pill Diaries on YouTube, our sister channel, the Red Pill Journals and the Red Pill Diaries, those who are viewing me on Twitter, those who are viewing on Twitch, and those who are viewing on Odyssey. Thank you all for joining because you had other things you could have been doing. And I'm so humbled that you decided to give me 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of your time to listen to my rant, okay? So we're going to go into a lot of news, but first I want to check the chat out to make sure that the chat is still good. Salute to Joel. Salute to Maddie. Salute to Rando. Thank you. Annette Rando, thank you for joining me in the chat. Thank you all. Now, if you want to put a subject in, if you want to talk about something, just put it in the chat and we'll try to touch upon it. But I want to go to something. I was thinking earlier as we did the show with Larry Johnson, and I was thinking about the precarious situation that the American empire now finds herself in. And I was thinking about how the people are so deluded, the people in power, or not just the people in power. Let me rephrase that because I got to address this as a whole. I don't like to dance around stuff, and I like to give the fact. Randomly Zerg is in the building also. I don't like to dance around the issues. I like to tell it like it is, okay? This is in the minds of the people who are governing. They are lunatics. In the mind of the people, they are the offspring or the byproduct of the lunatic thinking. Because we're still in this very hour, still stooped and stuck in and steeped in American exceptionalism. America has to rule. America has to be the greatest. America has to do this. There can be no other ruler. There can be no other economic engine. There can be no other viable political ruler or geopolitical rival. There can be none of that. And we see that and we hear that with the policies and the policy makers. But here's the thing: the people who put these people in office, the people who are governed by these lunatics, also mostly ascribe to those thoughts because you can hear it in daily conversations. They still are deluded. They still are in dream world about the falling position of America. And the more they stay in this position, this mind of being comfortable about what America used to be, the power that she once had, the influence that she once had, right? The unlimited, unrivaled position that America had. The longer that they stay in that mind state, the worse it will be when the collapse takes place because the people will, listen, when you have been the envy of the world for decades upon decades, and when everybody flocked to your country, and everybody wanted to get an education from you, everybody took notes from you, everybody took guidance from you, everybody looked to America. When that is no longer the case, and it becomes crystal clear and evident, just as clear as when the daylight shines, vanishing falsehood or vanishing the darkness, when that becomes evident and clear, you're going to have revolution in the midst of America. You can already see and hear the hints of it, the engine of it starting to rev up from the January 6th movement to you see all of these other movements. But here's the kicker. The people who are propagating the something new, and I know like people don't like to hear this, but I have to speak facts. when Black America was telling you these things, you didn't want to hear it. You thought they were ungrateful. When they said the justice system was corrupt to the core, when they were telling you that the political system was corrupt to the core, that the political system did not cater to the need of the people, that they ignored the masses for the few. And now that it is hitting home, that it's touching you, now you see what I'm talking about. And now there's a cause for a rallying cry and everybody to rally around something new. But to be honest with you, Black America, they were telling you this. We were telling you this from the jump. And you have to be honest about these things. Now when we look at this system and we see how they treat the veterans, how they treat the old, how they treat the frail, how they even treat people who are not in government or who may not wield power, they show such contempt towards you that it is unreal. And as that contempt continues to grow and America continues her downward spiral, the anger in the midst of America by those who believed in America and by those who wanted something out of America, this thing has all of the ingredients for an explosive situation, the likes of which we've never seen before. When America loses her footing, once that world reserve currency is gone, that's it. I was looking at a paper earlier today, and I was over my mom's house. Me and one of my brothers who were over there, my veteran brother who served on the DMZ in Korea. We were sitting over my mother's house, drinking coffee. And shout out to my brother Chris. I know you're at home. Shout out to my brother Chris. So we're sitting there, and I'm getting messages, and then I look at one of the messages, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking in my head that, hey, I thought the message that I got was not going to happen until next year, but the message that I got said that America is now paying over $1 trillion in interest. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can quickly pull that up. Because when I saw it, my mom said, "What do you say for?" I said, "I'm not going to tell you till I speak on it." And let me see. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull it up. Give me 1 second. Because this is something very important that should be in the minds of everybody in America, not just the ones who govern America, but the ones who are being governed in America by the lunatics. Okay, this has ramifications the likes of which you can't hardly put your mind around. Okay, let's see. Go here. Let me see if I can pull it up because I know I sent it to myself. I knew it. And even Gregory Manarino sent me something on it also. So let me look at what it says, now $1 trillion per year to service U.S. debt. U.S. trade deficit balloons. War is expanding. That's from Greg Manarino. All right. Now, when I saw this in, I think it was news. Let me see if I can pull that one up. There it is. That's the one I wanted to pull up. Bloomberg, of all places, Bloomberg says, and I'm gonna go to the chat in a second. Okay. This is what Bloomberg says. I didn't read it. I just saved it. Immediately when I saw it, I was like, what? I got to talk on this. So what I did, I emailed it to myself so that I can remember to speak on this. So this is the headline. Man, would you stop trying to get a buck, Bloomberg? Bloomberg is blocking I know it's behind the paywall, but I just want to get the headline. The headline is this: U.S. debt interest bill rockets past a cool $1 trillion a year. So it's not $1 trillion. I want you to see what that headline says. U.S. debt interest bill rockets past. That means here's $1 trillion. That means to get past it, you have to break that boundary of $1 trillion, right? So U.S. debt interest bill rockets past $1 trillion, a cool $1 trillion a year. It says higher costs may reignite debate about the U.S. fiscal path. Rising issuance from 2020 will also need to be refinanced. It says BI. So that's all you can get is behind the paywall. And I'm not going to read it behind the paywall, okay? I have access to it, but I'm not going to read it. That's why you sign up over there if they want you to. But listen, what does that say about the economy? Now, I want you to understand the contempt that America has for you. She says, both parties, we must cut spending, right? And yet, while they're telling you that they're cutting spending, they're upping so-called defense spending, even though there's nothing in the U.S. military budget that would even give you the inkling that it's about defense of America proper. Every time America does something, she says, our interest. Interest could be anything. Our interest. Iran better not damage our interest in the Middle East. Iran better not do this about our interest in West Asia. And one needs to back up and say, hold on. Okay, you reside 7,000, 8,000 miles away. What about your interests in West Asia or in the Middle East can be more pressing than a nation that is in the Middle East? Let me say that again in a different way. What about your interests when the body of you resides 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 miles away could be more pressing than the interests of a nation or nations that reside in West Asia or the Middle East? When America can make that understandable to me and understandable to you, then maybe she'll be on better footing, because she says her interest in the Middle East. Then she talks about her interest in Africa. What about your interest in Africa that is more pressing than the interest of the African nations on the African continent? What about your interest in Latin America? What is more pressing in Latin America about your interest than it is for the Latin American nations? What is more pressing about your interest in Europe that is more pressing than the very European nations that reside on the European continent? What is more pressing in your interest over China's interest in Asia when China is a resident of Asia? Do you see the hypocrisy? Do you see the smidgen of racism and exceptionalism in this stuff? My interest supersedes yours, even though that's on your doorstep. My interest supersedes yours, even though I'm surrounding you with bases and I'm sailing my ships through waters near your coast. But when you confront my ships, or you confront my warplanes or my spy planes in territorial waters near or yours proper, your waters or your airspace, or near your waters or near your airspace, is provocative. But what you do in the airspace over there is not provocative, even though what is taking place is thousands of miles from your airspace and your territorial waters. What in bizarro world are we talking about? So all of this is going on, right? And remember, to fly spy planes, to fly warplanes, to sail warships, to conduct war games, right? And to train militaries, to bribe governments, to fund covert color revolutions and assassination programs costs money. And we now know that it is money that the U.S. government does not have. She must borrow this money from the very nations that she deems as her rivals and enemies, and she must also project debt onto your future generations so that she can try to maintain power right now. She's saddling your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren with an unpayable debt so that she can hold on to the reins of power just another day, another week, another month, maybe one more year. You don't think that's lunatic? You don't think that's insanity? You don't think that's outrageous? And you don't see nothing wrong with that? Let me see something. And I might add this. And she continues to find money and fund what? Appropriation bills for war. Why haven't America passed a bill for people in California that were devastated? I mean, in Hawaii that were devastated by that fire. They got a one-time $600 or $700 payment. But as soon as Israel cries out, America pushes everything to the side. And like I told you guys when I was talking to you, and they were talking about, well, this new speaker will do. Different person, same thing. I was telling you guys that. Well, he's a supporter of Trump. So Trump said that he would absolutely side with Israel, regardless. That's what he said. Right. So what is so different about what Joe Biden is doing and what Trump has proclaimed that he would do? What is so different about the policies initiated by Joe Biden and the policies initiated by Donald Trump? Not too much. Each one of them are trying to out-hawk the other hawk. You understand? So listen, all of this is a charade, all of it. All of these political figures are just different sides of the same coin. And they're running the United States down into the ground, right? So I want you to think about something. Developers are now taking the land that those people had. They're offering them money because the people cannot rebuild. They don't have the money to rebuild. So they've lost everything. So developers are getting that pricey land that's right on the ocean, that's convenient for building new shopping malls, new everything, right? And they're getting it on pennies on the dollar from the people who have suffered the most. And the Congress and the president could not have enough empathy and sympathy for those people to pass a bill that was half the bill that they have rushed through the House of Representatives for Israel. Tell me whether or not that's contempt for the people. They've come up with another appropriation bill for Ukraine. And the people in Hawaii are still in that predicament that they were in after the fires. So you're going to put them more in debt. Not going to give them a bailout, but you can find money. You can appropriate money that you do not have. And that you're going to put more debt on the back of your citizens and future generations. So that you can what? Fund Israel, fund Ukraine, these wars of aggression. And common sense tells anybody and everybody that, hey, these are the nations that I have to compete with. And instead of me investing more and more on weapons of war, I'm good. I got over 5,000 nuclear weapons stocked up. I got 1,500 nuclear weapons that are ready to go. I got 3,000 or 4,000 in storage. Okay, I don't have to worry about being bribed or blackmailed or something like that. So now I can focus and take that energy, that money, and reinvest in the people, right? And maybe if I remove those bases, maybe if I let those people whom I deem are my enemies, if I let them breathe a little bit, maybe I can live another day. Maybe they would not be so quick to de-dollarize. Maybe they would not be so quick to try to build up a financial architecture, a financial system outside of the dollar. Maybe they will say, hey, the guy have seen the error of his ways. Let us all work hand in hand and try to help him. But no. If it doesn't work, I'm going to do it again. And if I break my leg, don't worry. The next time I'm going to break my arm. If I break my arm, don't worry about it. The next time I'm going to break my neck, because I'm going to keep going until that brick wall. And eventually, I'm going to succeed and go through it. That's the mind of these lunatics. Let me see something in the chat. Let me go in the chat real quick. All right. Let's see. Give me a second. All right, we got people in the chat. Oh, MZ is in the chat. Ascended Awakening is in the chat. Serious Biz is in the chat. I'm sorry if I'm not able to. CC is in the chat. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Mehdi. I gotta highlight Mehdi. Channel member, I gotta highlight him. Listen what Mehdi says. I'm an old Cold War vet. This pisses me off. I cannot afford dentures, so I walk around looking. It's not funny, but I walk around looking like a crackhead. Oh my God, Mehdi, you are something else. But this is what I'm saying. They can constantly find and think about this. People don't sit down and think about this. As the people at home beg for debt relief from student loans. And they beg for debt relief and help in paying mortgages and reinvested in communities and funding Head Start and all of this stuff to give the future generations a leg up, America sees that as a financial burden. But to constantly pour money into the MIC, the military industrial complex, they see that as an investment. So what they're telling you is that productivity, enlightenment, and progression as a person, as a people, as a nation is not in the interest of the leadership. What they see in the interest of the leadership is the constant musical chairs that they play with those in the military and the MIC and the politicians, fleecing the people. That's what they're doing. They're fleecing the people. Let's go down a little bit more. Let's see. Here we go, right here. Serious Biz says, I feel you, Maddie. Stay up, fam. I'm in bad conditions too from neglect, but I can't trust the VA anymore. Their surgeons have totally ruined my aspects of a quality life, but I'm still good, fam. You know what? Let me tell y'all something. I didn't do a live the other day because I was in the emergency room. I had my heart was like palpitating. It was like fluttering and stuff like that. But I'm good. I'm good. But let me tell you something. Have you ever noticed that from the judicial system to the military industrial complex to the medical system, none of that is made to bring security or health or progression or enlightenment. All of that is made to perpetuate whatever it is. If it's the justice system, it's to perpetuate courts, perpetuate prison so that they can make money. If it's the MIC, it's to perpetuate wars, destabilization programs so they can pump money up in there, right? And if it's the medical system, it is to perpetuate and extend the sickness. They're not trying to cure the sickness. They are trying to extend the sicknesses by giving you these medicines when you take them that they cause 50 or 60 more side effects than the one that they're supposed to be aiding, and therefore they can prescribe other things. The doctor gets paid, the pharmacy gets paid, the drug companies get paid. Everybody gets paid off of your sickness instead of them telling you, hey, listen, look for natural ways to do this. Let us move towards fasting and let us move towards doing natural remedies. Let's see how that's going to work. No, because they have to make money. Listen, in a capitalistic society, the main priority, and never forget this, is profit. It's profit. Profit over security, profit over education and advancement, and profit over health. So, have you ever wondered why a person had been going to a doctor for 10 and 20 years and they've never been cured, and all you see is constant prescriptions and constant recommendations, and when you go, they'll give you another, say, well, I'll see you in 3 months or 4 months. They have to do that so that they can sustain their life, their lifestyle. That is what I call the parasitic West. It is done in almost every field in America and in the West. They leech off the poor, the ignorant, and those who are unaware of certain remedies outside of their, medical field or MIC. Why do you think America's not pushing for peace, suing for peace? Because do you know that due to the uproar in North Africa, do you know that due to the war in Syria, Iraq, and Libya, and in Ukraine, and also now in Palestine, do you know the profits of the like Boeing and Lockheed Martin has skyrocketed? Do you know that? Again, I'm going to put this on your face so you can remember this, because I know it's hard to remember. It's so simple that it's hard to remember. Lockheed Martin and all of these other industries that help build these weapon suits for the U.S. and for her allies, they don't invest in making peace ships, right? Or rose copters. They have gunships and warships, right? That's what they are called for, and they're called that for a reason. That's what they were made for, to create and perpetuate war. I don't care if this is, oh, this is for peace. Show me when is it conducive to peace to park warships off the coast of other people's nations and waters. When is that conducive to peace? And when war breaks out, you want to send more weaponry, more destructive material there, so that you can say that I'm ensuring the peace. As a matter of fact, where is it at right here? Since we're talking about this, let me go back. Where is it at? Where is it? The U.S. just sent another warship, a submarine, full of cruise missiles to the Persian Gulf. Now, here's something very important that you must understand about that. Let's say this again. The U.S. sent a submarine. They deployed a submarine contingent to the Persian Gulf full of cruise missiles, right? Is that the Gulf of Mexico? Is that Lake Michigan? Is that off the coast of California? Off the eastern coast of America, like New York or any of those eastern states? No. They deployed it to the Persian Gulf. Persian. You know, Iran was called Persia. That's the name of Iran. That's the original name of it's Persia. Right? And it was renamed Iran. So they send it to the Persian Gulf. Why? Because they have every inkling to stoke tensions with Persia. Let's read this article together. It says, cruise missile sub deployment aims to shield U.S. Achilles heel of bases surrounding Iran. What? But I thought America said that they didn't want war. I thought that they said they were only deploying as to keep the peace and not allow for regional hostilities, only to allow for what's going on in Palestine to continue without any outside players. Well, the headline tells us a different story, right? What does it say? Cruise missile sub deployment aims, what is that? First of all, let's go to something real quick. You know we like to go to definition. All right? Meaning. All right. According to the dictionary, aim is a verb, right? And it means to point, direct, train, sight, focus, level, line up, or position, right? To work toward, be after, set one's sight on, strive for, and to pursue. So there's nothing defensive about that. That is all offensive according to the definition of aim, right? What did the article say? Cruise missile sub deployment aims, what did it say about what aim was? To pursue, to set one's sight on, to strive for. Strive for what? To shield U.S. Achilles heels of bases surrounding Iran. And it says, now I'm reading this for the first time with you all, okay? And we're doing the definitions right off the back of all of this stuff. This is how we do it. We know how to freestyle. We can do these things. It's easy. It says, Washington upped the ante in the Palestinian-Israeli crisis on Sunday by announcing the deployment of an Ohio-class guided missile sub to the Middle East to drive home a message of deterrence. Now, according to the title and that main word of aim, that is not deterrence. That is for offensive purposes, right? It is to target, right? To strive for, right? And to pursue. Pursue is not defensive. Pursuing is offensive. When somebody chases you, they are pursuing you, right? Is that not right? So now you have an oxymoron in play. We have a title that tells us that America's true intentions is to chase Iran. And then we have in the first paragraph, they're trying to dumb you down a little bit by saying it is for deterrence purposes. The two are not together, okay? Let's go further. It says, the sub really is there to deter. But according to the title of aim, It is to pursue. Deter. Let's go to the definition of deter, okay? See, because I want you to understand, and we don't all understand, but understanding is golden. And when you get a thorough understanding, they can't put this foolishness over on you, okay? Let's see. All right. According to the dictionary, the word deter is a verb also. It means to put off, to discourage, to dissuade, to scare off, to warn, caution, to dishearten, to fend off. Now, hold on right there. That's what I needed right there. To fend off. Now, that would imply that Iran is being aggressive against America and deploying whole warships, warplanes, and weaponry and troops near America's borders and being aggressive. And then you would need some kind of move that will show her that you are serious to deter her from invasion, right? Or from starting a fight with you. But when you come into somebody's neighborhood and you set up shop right on the opening of their front gate, and you are threatening them every day right at their front gate, that is not deterring. You know what that is? According to the definition, that is aiming. You are pursuing a fight, right? You are striving for a fight. Why? Because you have set your eyes on that thing, that target, that person, right? According to the definition. So what they're saying, well, not buying it, right? They've already let the cat out the bag with the title of the article. So let's go further. It says, the sub really is there to deter Iran from launching strikes on U.S. bases across the region. That is, former DOD analyst Michael Maloof told Sputnik. Now, hold on. Let's look at this. He told you that that sub is there to deter, but we know that it is there with aim to wage war against Iran, according to the definition. But here's something. To deter Iran from striking U.S. bases across the region. Now, one must ask the question, why would Iran strike U.S. bases across the region? Because remember, if Iran wanted to do such a thing, it had the justification, it had all of the rights, and it had the will of the people of the majority of the world on its side when Donald Trump ordered the assassination of General Soleimani, right? So if they did not pummel all of the U.S. bases and they only retaliated by hitting 2 bases, why now, when America has not assassinated an Iranian general, would America say that it is to deter Iran from launching strikes on U.S. bases across the region? Unless America and Israel are amping up tensions in the hopes of provoking Iran so that they can go to war, because they've already said it through different administrations. Trump said it in certain words. Obama said it in certain words. Biden said it. And we know what Dick Cheney and George Bush has said, that anybody could go to Baghdad, but real men go to Tehran, right? Meaning that they wanted war with Iran. So, again, don't let them pull the okie doke on you. Don't let them do that. And it says, CENTCOM's Public Affairs Department released a jargon-filled statement on the arrival of a Tomahawk cruise missile on Ohio-class guided missile sub in the Middle East on Monday, saying the deployment was designed to demonstrate, right, the flexibility and dynamic ability to deter potential adversaries, reassure partners, enhance maritime security, and ensure freedom of navigation and the free flow of commerce. Stop right there. We've got a lot to unpack right there as we talk about the situation that is building to a crescendo in the Middle East. Okay, so it says to demonstrate, right? I want you to miss a second, everybody. Now, demonstrate means it's a verb, another verb. We have 3 verbs in a row. And it says, give a practical exhibition and explanation of how a machine, skill, or craft works or is performed. Give a demonstration of, to reveal, bespeak, indicate, signify, signal, denote, and show. So what they want to do is show Iran that they can deploy massive amounts of firepower on Iran's borders. Iran is surrounded by multiple U.S. bases. As a matter of fact, let's make this look better for you, okay? Give me 1 second. Let me see this. Give me 1 second. U.S. bases. Sir. All right, here we go, right here. So to give you an understanding of what I'm talking about, all right, I need you to see this. Let's see if I can pull this up right here. All right, let's see if would that work right there? Yeah. That should work. Let's see if they're going. No, that's not. They're not going to allow me to show this the way it should be shown. So I'll go back here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, everybody. Because, like I say, it's one thing to say something. It's another thing when somebody is telling you something and showing you something. Okay, so I'm gonna pull up something for you guys. Share screen. All right, we'll share the screen. All right. Boom. Let's see. And it should pop up. It should be popped up right now. I can't see it on my screen. Here it comes. It should be popping up. I think it should. Oh, there we are. Okay. Now, purple and red. Look to the purple and red. I'll point this way. Okay. To the farther end over there. Matter of fact, let me see if I can make that bigger for you guys. Where can I find the bigger one at? Let me see if I can find the bigger one for you guys. All right, we'll do that. We'll go here. I found one that's bigger. Hold on 1 second. Let me take this off the screen because we're going to come back to what they're writing up here. We got to address this because this has everything to do with war. War. The United States needs war. You don't understand. Gregory Manarino and his explanation to me about what's going on, he said people don't understand. Most people don't understand that the system needs debt. They need more debt. One way to get it, they need to constantly expand. If the debt bubble stops expanding, the whole system shuts down. And one of the best ways to get it is through war, right? So, listen now. Let me take this off the screen and let me go back up here and add this to the screen. Let's see, stop screen. We'll go back. Is it? All right, here we are. Let's see, wrong. All right, this should come up. And I'm going to make it bigger. Just a second. Let's see if I can. Will it make? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, right here. Let me see if my mouse will come on. Let me look on this screen and see if while I'm talking to you all, my mouse will move. All right, let's go here. For those of you who are, I'm disconnected on YouTube, in my YouTube booth, but I think it's coming back up. So give me 1 second. Let me see something. Where is it? Where did I go? All right, let's see. Is my mouse on? Okay, it's not showing. But I want you to see something. All right, there it is. I think that's it. Yeah. Look at my mouse. Man, what is going on? Come on, stop doing that. Right there in blue. That's Iran. That part right in the middle is Iran. All right? That bluish stuff. You see these other nations in red and blue and purple? You see the stars there? Those stars are bases. Those are U.S. and coalition bases around Iran. Let me say that again. Those are U.S. bases and coalition bases around Iran. Now, let us ask the question. If Iran is aggressive, does Iran have any of that around America? No. All right? So we have to deal with things as it is and not how we want them to be or how they are presented to us through propaganda and media sources. Because this is the only way that you can get to the crux of the matter. Now, let's go back to something while we're looking at that. Okay? Oh, and by the way, smash the like button. Subscribe also. Smash the like button and subscribe also. Let me say it one more time. Smash the like button and subscribe, y'all. All right. Now, the article says, it says CENTCOM's Public Affairs Department released a jargon-filled statement on the arrival of a Tomahawk cruise missile-armed Ohio-class guided missile sub in the Middle East on Monday, saying the deployment was designed to demonstrate the flexibility and dynamic ability to deter potential adversaries. Well, who is an adversary of America there? And listen, if you lived in Norfolk, Virginia, and you find yourself in a certain neighborhood in Los Angeles, let's just say Los Angeles, right? And that neighborhood did not, every house that you went, they didn't want you there. They were unkind to you, unfriendly. They would not help you. They wouldn't feed you. They showed nothing but discontent for you. Why would you remain there? If you go to someone's home and they mistreat you, show you that they don't want you there, why would you remain there? What's in your interest to remain around people and households or nations that don't want you there? Especially when you reside thousands of miles from home. Your house is thousands of miles from home. You can just go, you know what, forget it. Let me go home. You can't say it's for national security concerns because you have the second largest nuclear armaments on the planet. So if anybody were to attack you militarily, you could wipe them off the face of the planet. So it can't be for what you claim to be national security issues. Either the deterrence factor is there for your nuclear weapons. If the deterrence factor is no longer there, then you need to dismantle them and invest that money into the masses of the people in America. You cannot have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. That's not how things work. Then it goes on to say, dynamic ability to deter potential adversaries. Who are the potential adversaries in that region? The very nations that you occupy. That's how they became your adversaries. Because you disregarded their national security interests. You disregarded their sovereignty. You disregarded what the will of those people wanted. Because you felt that what you wanted and what you knew was better for them than what they wanted and what they knew. And you say to reassure partners. No, that is to cower people. Because you see Qatar, you see the UAE, you see all of these nations now, and Arabia, now looking at Iran as a viable power, viable option in West Asia. And this is not, according to you, in your security interests. So what you're there to do is to cower those nations and stop them from turning east and to remain under your thumb through the barrel of the gun, through the barrel of sanctions, through the threat of war and sanctions. You understand? So it says, and to enhance maritime security, the Persian Gulf. That's not the American Gulf. That's the Persian Gulf. The nations in that region have enough naval firepower, enough might and foresight to defend those waters. Then you go and say, and to ensure freedom of navigation and the free flow of commerce. Isn't that the same thing they use when they try to traverse the Taiwan Strait in the South China Sea? Freedom of navigation and free flow of commerce, even though, right, you don't see any nation trying to impede the flow of goods, or stopping the navigation of other nations. As a matter of fact, Iran allows U.S. forces to transit its waters almost daily through the Strait of Hormuz. Most of that strait lies in Iranian territorial waters. So why aren't we talking about that? You know why we're not talking about it? Because America is belligerent and it is not in the interest of the MIC. That's why we're not talking about it. Okay? Now, come here, I tell you what. These people are something else. Let me go to the chat real quick because I know you put some stuff in the chat. Let's see. When will they see enough is enough? I don't know, man. I don't know. When you lose everything, you lose it. You understand? And now you see America losing her position. You see she's losing it. They're trying to displace America. Well, you displace somebody to become the superpower. Why is it all right for you to displace somebody? Why is it all right for you to become the number one power? Why is it all right for you to become the number one naval power, the number one economic power, to have the world reserve currency and an unfair advantage against all of the other nations? Why is it all right for you to do that? But when somebody else is doing it on a fair or even playing field, it becomes a national security threat and something that you just cannot allow. Let's see. Falling human will grab anything just to slow the fall for a moment. Let me put that up there. That is a what? Boom. Mic drop moment. Right there. And that's what we see happening. The nation of America is falling. She is the greatest pillar of power in the Western world. She is the weight-bearing pillar of Western dominance, Western policies, Western politics, geopolitics. She is that weight-bearing pillar of the pound, the euro, the EU, all right? The thoughts of British imperialism and what resides as capitalism and American imperialism. She is that weight-bearing load. And she is falling now. And what we're seeing is they're grasping for any and everything to try to buy just a little bit more time instead of correcting their errors and trying to look at better ways to better themselves and correct the wrongs that they constantly commit. They are going all out in a scorched earth policy. If I can't rule, I'm killing everybody. Well, that's not America. I fathom to see that. Well, you don't invest in trillions of dollars of weaponry that can destroy the world 30 times over if you have no plans on using it. You can't tell me they have no plans. They've already used it multiple times before. So that argument goes out the window. And what I say to everybody is, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. Some of us, we are, like that abused spouse. We continue to hope for a change and hope. And we wait for the change. And then we find out that weight broke the wagon, right? And there was no change. What you saw and what you got is what that was. That's what is so got the people so turned up right now. That's why people are so confused, because it's hard for them to adjust. It's hard for them to digest that this mentality is the mentality not just of American neocons and neoliberals. This is pervasive across the political spectrum in the EU and in Great Britain. That's what's hard about it, because the average person is saying, no, my government can't be that evil. My government can't be that wicked. Even as they colonized nation after nation, even after they raped, robbed, pillaged, and occupied nation after nation, even right to this day, they still have nations under their economic thumb, and you still saying, oh, I can't believe that. We just saw nations in Africa trying to break away from the French franc, because they were still, after so-called independence, they were still under the political and economic thumb of France. We still see that the UK refuses to give back the Malvinas Islands to Argentina or remove, and there's a UN mandate for them to reposition the people that, I forget the island it is. Thanks to you is, even though you might be a citizen there, the best thing to do is recognize the reality of what's going on. When they show you who they are, believe them. You don't have to go through therapy like an abused spouse. What you need to do is continue to recognize the truth and accept that truth. I know it's hard. Once you recognize it, it's hard as hell to accept it because it's not what you are accustomed to. And when we get something that we're not accustomed to, and it's hard to swallow, sometimes we just can't take it. And we'd rather walk away and live in the land of denial than to accept something that's so unpalatable to us. All right? Let's see. I see. Oh, my man, Mehdi, you are something else. Mehdi is a G on top of a G on top of a G. Mehdi, I gotta put this out there for those who may be looking and can't see this. Let me highlight this. This is the second time he's done that. Mehdi has gifted another Red Pill Diaries membership to someone. Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you your flowers. I'm going to let the world know what you did. You're not going to do it in the background, and I'm not going to put the spotlight on you and say, look what this guy's doing. He's helping the cause. He's helping to keep the show going. He's helping to do the good things that we're trying to do by getting the truth out to the people. Oh, Holly's in the building. I didn't see Holly. Well, if Holly's in the building, you know I got to give a shout out to Holly. I see FN, I'll just say Fanfell 89. That's what I'm going to say. I'm sorry. I see you. I answered your question. That question there, I answered it in the comment section of the video that you put that question on. Let me highlight this real quick. All right. This question right here, you know, the video that you commented and left that on, go check it. I answered you. I didn't ignore you. I saw you. All right. Yeah. I appreciate that question too. Okay. Let's see. Let's go down. Let's see. Mehdi says, yep, trolling for trouble with Iran with U.S. service members as debate with Joe Biden. Man, let me tell you something. This guy here is a total butt. And I'm not talking about the B-U-T. I'm talking about the B-U-T-T. I can't say the other version of that, but you know what I'm talking about. This guy right here is good, so corrupt to the core and good for nothing. But warmongering, corruption, lies, and all of that stuff. And patting women where the women shouldn't be patted. This is what he's good for. You know, he has a lot of people fooled, right? But they're waking up. This guy is something else. Joe Biden is like they used to say in the hood. He's full of more excrement than a Christmas turkey before you clean it. All right. So you get the drift of what I'm talking about. Let's see. And oh, by the way, Betty, yeah. Let me go back to something you just said, right? You said, yep, trolling for trouble with Iran with U.S. service members as debate. Absolutely. Another mic drop moment. Boom. Absolutely. Right there. Because what he wanted to do, when he stokes something and Iran is forced to respond and service members are caught in between that, guess what happens? Patriotism. And then he tries to rally the country around him, even though the country is wrong for being there and for provoking it. But the natural instinct of the citizens of that country is to rally around the government. That's what he's trying to do, because listen, what's going on? The world is pulling away from America. The people in America are pulling away from America. He needs something, some type of glue, even if it's excrement, as long as it can keep it together for a little bit. That's what he's buying for time. That's what he's doing. Let's see. I see. I'm trying to get to everybody's comment, but I have to highlight more of and I'll get to uh, I'll get to a few other people in just a second. Medi says, because U.S. bases are in range and barely supported as it is, people need to understand just how exposed some of our soldiers, our sons and our daughters are in the region. And check this out. Not just U.S. bases. There were multiple studies done saying that, Iran has some islands in the Persian Gulf, right? And these islands are loaded with air defense systems and these, I think, CO2 upgraded missiles that the Chinese gave the Iranians, right? And these things skim the surface and hug the mountains of those little islands, right? And it's hard to be detected until 3 to 4 minutes. I think there's something like Onyx, like a version of the Russian Onyx missile or something. And they hug the terrain and they fly low over the water, and right before they ascend to come down and do a dive. That's the point where the U.S. and Western radars pick up, and by that time you have 2 to 5 seconds to react. And so not only can they hit all of the bases in the region, they can sink the warships out at the sea. And listen, a lot of people don't like this reality too. Iran's missile range can also hit southern Europe. So if there are nations that are partaking in attacks on Iran, Iran could respond militarily. A lot of people don't know that. They could respond to European aggression militarily from where they are. Isn't that something? Yeah, I know it. But they keep the people in ignorance on these things. All right. They keep the people. And I was told, matter of fact, I was talking to somebody right before I started doing the show. And they were, and these people are in the know, believe me, they're in the know. No. And they were telling me that the US, the Israelis are taking on casualties as we speak in their operation. And they're losing equipment too. And it's a total blackout on this because the United States and Israel does not want the world to know, and they don't even want the citizens to know of the magnitude of the fighting and what is going on. Excuse me. So they're not telling you this stuff, that there are a lot of deaths going on right there. And think about this. Israel is bombing Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, and talking about attacking Iran. Isn't that something? Let me say that again. She's attacking Lebanon, Syria, Palestine, and talking about attacking Iran. And Iran is the aggressive nation. Iran wants war, even though Iran says, hey, this escalation needs to stop and you need to hold your horses and allow for a ceasefire. But Iran wants the war. Do you see the George Orwell speak that the West puts it on? When you are the peacemaker, they make you the warmonger and they make themselves the peacemaker through propaganda. Iran is not attacking Israel. Israel has threatened to not only attack Iran, but nuke Iran. And on top of that, they have just threatened to nuke Palestine. Now, here's the crazy thing about this. If you nuke Gaza or you nuke the West Bank, where the hell are you going to go? Because the nuclear fallout is not just going to stay there. The nuclear fallout will not stay there. It's going to rid Palestine of everybody. You see, these people don't even think. You're going to nuke, and Pakistan has already made it clear that if Israel used nuclear weapons, Pakistan would not against a Muslim state. Pakistan would not hesitate to launch a nuclear strike on Israel. And Pakistan, and let me explain to you why the United States continues to destabilize Pakistan. I know they talk about terrorists. These are U.S. terrorists and British terrorists that are controlled, and the Indian Raw intelligence services. They control a lot of it too. But let me tell you something. You have the largest nuclear power, Russia. You have the second largest, the United States. You have the third largest, China. Guess who's the fourth largest? According to new readouts. Not the UK, not France, Pakistan. So, and they have the wherewithal to strike. This is what I'm telling you. It's escalating. And America's, she is willing to put the world on the brink of war to try to maintain her position. She knows that having them people in an open prison for decades, to removing them off their own territory and then calling them the terrorists, she knows that that was untenable. You don't have to keep saying this stuff over and over again. Common sense tells you that. Because if I went in your house and put you on the porch, and every time you move, I relegate you to a certain area of the yard, and if you move out of that certain area, I come and beat you, hose you, and victimize your family. You know that's untenable. You are, as a man or as a strong woman, are not going to allow that to go on in perpetuity. The law of science tells us that. The law of nature and human beings tell us that it's untenable. Forget international law for a minute. Forget your religious persuasion for a minute. The very basis of your creation tells you as a person that you will not allow that to go on in perpetuity. This is what I'm saying to you. So they are ready to rid the world of everybody if they can't rule. Why do you think that Ohio class submarine, they don't tell you this though? It also is fitted and can be fitted with nuclear weapons. Why didn't they put that in the article? Huh? Why did they just say that are filled with Tomahawk cruise missiles, even though those can be fitted with miniature warheads? Huh? They want you to believe that this is just a conventional thing. It is not conventional when you are deploying nuclear armed aircraft carriers and nuclear armed and nuclear powered submarines, and then you have an illegal or an occupying nation, I should say, threatening the occupants, the people who are being occupied, with nuclear annihilation. Now, if the Palestinians would have said that, you know more than anything that this would have been unacceptable on every news broadcast in America, Britain, and the EU. Hell, you can't even question what happened in Germany and Europe without going to jail. You know that? If truth is truth, you want people to do research on it. You don't want to hide it. You don't want to censor it. Because the more people find out, the more weight and validity is added to your situation. But when you start hiding and implementing laws to outlaw questioning this and questioning that, that delegitimizes your stand automatically. Automatically. It is something else. Let me look down here. So listen, I gave y'all another hour of the show because we did a show with Larry Johnson today, and I got a call I'm waiting for with some information about what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in Africa, because a lot of people don't know it's something jumping off in North Africa, right? And I'm waiting on this call, and hopefully it'll come through. Let me see something. What happened? Let me highlight this real quick. What happens when we need soldiers who are cooks, mechanics, engineers? They will all have to be grunts like everyone else because we don't have the men to man our military. And think about this. Okay. And think about this on top of that. When war breaks out in Asia, because that's America's main target, that's what she wants to get to, because she sees China as the most pressing threat. Now, China can easily call up 5-10 million people. They easily have the geostrategic advantage. What is going to happen at home when the people are fed up with you? Look what's happening to Ukraine as the people are getting fed up with the situation, and they're getting fed up with the political structure and the leadership, and they're tired of sending their children to be cannon fodder for the West. And they realize that all of the promises that the West made are lies. What do you think is going to happen when that is multiplied on scales unimaginable when America goes to war with China? And I was looking at some podcasters, and they were saying they were blaming Zelensky for everything. And listen, he needs a lot of blame, right? But they were trying to vindicate the United States and Great Britain and all of this stuff, and they're not telling, hey, you promised this man unlimited resources. You promised this man unlimited funding, and now you say the funding is not unlimited. The resources is not unlimited. Zelensky needs. I told you guys when they started saying that it was Zelensky that wanted to. He was so preoccupied with Bakhmut. I told you that this was a setup from the West. There is absolutely no way on earth that if the United States wanted Zelensky to redeploy troops somewhere else, that he would have said no and would have been focused on Bakhmut. Absolutely no way. Show me a time in American history where she's footed the bill, gave you all of the intelligence, real-time intelligence, gave you the weaponry, and then you were able to buck up against what she said. Show me one time. But these pundits, they hide that. They don't want you to think. I told you guys, go back and look at the shows. I said, they're sending Zelensky up. He's just so preoccupied with this because they knew that the battle was being fought and that they were losing on every end. So this is what America and the West were doing. By saying that, if Zelensky would have retained Bakhmut and those surrounding areas, America still could have claimed victory. But they saw that the situation was untenable. So what they were trying to do is cover their bases. So when things did not work out, guess what? They got a fall guy. They always have a fall guy. They don't want to acknowledge that their policies and their training was insufficient for these scrimmages and these battles in this war. They want to put it on the back of Zelensky, which he deserves some of it, and the other ones. You've heard multiple generals say that NATO training sucked. They had to revert back to the Soviet training because they were getting killed out on the battlefield with this combined arms tactics that they were using that is a mainstay of the U.S. and NATO. They were getting shellacked out there on the battlefield, and they had to revert by necessity back to Soviet training. America, Great Britain, and the West never accepts responsibility for anything, regardless to what household product they break, what toy they break. It's always the toy's fault that it's broken. It is never the fact that they threw it up against the wall, kicked it down the street, or dropped an anvil on top of it. It is never there. They will never accept responsibility. How can these pundits on one hand say that America is funding and keep giving these large stipends to Ukraine and America is giving weapons to, and then you go on the other hand say Zelensky refuses to listen to reason? And all I ask is, and all I say to you is this: show me one time when America allowed insubordination when she's paying for your entire government, your pensions, your military, your weapons, and the very livelihood of your nation, and she's supplementing inflation to keep the Ukrainian currency afloat. And you want me to believe that Zelensky is doing this outside of British and U.S. mandate? Man, stop this stuff. Stop it. Stop that. That is a person still have a little exceptionalism in them, really believing that you can let Zelensky do what he. How in the hell can you do it when the intelligence services are run by the United States, when the military is run by the United States, when the civic services are run by the United States, when every part of the Ukrainian government is an instrument of American imperialism? How can you honestly look into people's face and say it's Zelensky? Huh? That's people showing disrespect to your common sense, showing contempt for your understanding. And they too may have a horse in this race that they're hiding, right? I want to ask everybody that's listening. Okay, let's do something real quick. It's easy. I'm not asking for money. I want to ask you a serious and honest question. In the last 70 years, 70, not 5, not 10, not 20. In the last 70 years, when has the U.S. empire allowed insubordination after funding these nations and these leaders, bringing them to power and giving them all that is necessary for them to stay in the power and to prosecute wars? In the last 70 years, tell me a time that that's happened. I'm waiting. And if that has not happened in the last 70 years, why would it happen today when the Ukrainian government is more dependent on the United States than the previous governments and the previous nations? Because 90% of the budget, or 95% of the Ukrainian budget, is funded by who? The United States. Most of the weapons that the Ukrainians get is what? U.S.-made weapons, right? Or an extension of a U.S.-made weapon, because you have French and British variants of U.S. weapons. And for those weapons to be transferred, you have to have the approval of the United States. So again, I ask you, in the last 70 years, when has that been a possibility for a government to openly flaunt the wishes of the United States, right? Ignore them and do what they wanted to do? We'll see. Let's see. Joel Bradford says, never. Perseverance. Chameleon says, never. This is what I'm. So why, when you see these pundits talking, Zelensky is such and such, he's a madman and he's this and this and this and this. Yeah, you become mad when you are run and you are forced to do this and contradictory actions by your puppet masters. Remember, matter of fact, okay, if you think I'm lying, let me go to something. I was going to end the show, but you know what? I'm from Missouri. You're from Missouri. We like to prove things, right? We're from the show me state. I'm not actually from Missouri, but the old saying is you're from Missouri, the show me state. So we're going to show you something, and then we'll get back to this, okay? Let me go back here real quick. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. You guys give me a second. I hope it's still on my dashboard. All right. Look at this again. Now, this was over a year ago. This is not just me saying it. This is Colonel Douglas McGregor saying it, okay? Listen to this, okay? 2 minutes.
Douglas McGregor, who joins us now. Sir, what's the strategy?
What you're seeing is that the Russians have now driven what is left of the Ukrainian forces, who are taking refuge in population centers, cities, because they have no mobility, no air defense, no air cover, no logistical infrastructure. They are now mingling with the population, much as we've seen in the Middle East. Whenever we drove the Islamists out of business, they ran into cities, used people as shields, the civilian population, and tried to avoid being annihilated. Russian forces, I think, frankly, were too gentle. They've now corrected that. So I would say another 10 days, this should be completely over. But the question is, what is it that Zelensky is going to do? The Russians have made it very clear what they want is a neutral Ukraine. This could have ended days ago if he accepted that. And then they can adjust the borders. But the eastern part of Ukraine is firmly in Russian hands. But again, the Russians are not seizing territory. They're destroying Ukrainian forces. That's their focus.
Colonel, it sounds like you don't approve of Zelensky's stand.
Oh, I think Zelensky is a puppet. And he is putting huge numbers of his own population at unnecessary risk. And quite frankly, most of what comes out of Ukraine is debunked as lies within 24 to 48 hours. The notions of taking and retaking airfields, all of this is nonsense. It hasn't happened.
He's not a hero when he's standing up for himself and his own people? You don't think he's a hero?
No, I do not. I don't see anything heroic about the man. And I think the most heroic thing that he can do right now is to come to terms with reality. Neutralize Ukraine. This is not a bad thing. A neutral Ukraine would be good for us as well as for Russia. It would create the buffer that, frankly, both sides want. But he's, I think, being told to hang on and try to drag this out, which is tragic for the people that have to live through this.
Told to hang on. That means somebody is telling him. He's not telling himself. Somebody's telling him. And what did he say? Zelensky is a puppet, right? Let's go to the definition, okay? Because definitions make things so much more weighty, right? So listen, and I know if I'm pulling this stuff up, these people who are talking and making Zelensky look mad, which he is crazy, and always making fun of him, and yet they tend to disassociate the connections with the West, right? They have a hidden agenda. That's the only way you can look at it. They have a hidden agenda on these matters here. I don't care who they are. Let's go here. The word, well, first let's go to what puppet leader means. A puppet leader, the definition of puppet leader, a leader or ruler who is chosen by a despot to head a government. So now, whoever chose Zelensky is considered to be despot, right? A despot leader, right? So let's get that clear. Who chose Zelensky? The United States and Great Britain, right? So these are despots, right? Not desperate, despots. Leaders and leadership, according to the definition, right? I don't make anything up. I bring facts, and you can look this stuff up. Just put in the words, definition of puppet leader. Scroll down till it says people also ask, and then hit the first one. What is the meaning of puppet leader? All right, I'm giving it to you move by move so that you can prove it for yourself. Then we go here. Meaning of puppet. And this is very important, okay? I want you to really understand this right here. Hold on one second. Let me get this. All right. The meaning of puppet. Puppet is a noun, right? And it says a movable model of a person or animal that is used in entertainment and is typically, listen to this part, moved either by strings controlled from above or by a hand inside it. America has her hand, the UK has their hand inside every branch of the Ukrainian government and military, right? And intelligence services. Is that not right? Right? Who chose Zelensky? The US and the UK, right? So they're doing what? Pulling strings. Is that not right? So the puppet has no will or no power on his own to move. The puppet is strung along through the puppeteer, the puppet master. That's right. So when the puppet makes a policy or the puppet makes a move or the puppet does something, they are just dancing to the tune, speaking to the tune of the people who are pulling the strings. Is that not right? So when we look at that and we go back to what they call a despot, the word despot is a noun, a ruler or other person who holds absolute power. Stop right there. If the United States withdrew the funding for Ukraine, how many days would Ukraine be able to exist? If the United States stopped pumping in weapons, remember a few days ago, Lord Austin says that it's crucial for us to continue to send weapons there because if the United States stopped sending weapons, the war would be over and Ukraine would collapse like that. That's what Lord Austin said. Go Google this, right? So look what this despot means. A ruler or person or other person who holds absolute power, typically one who exercises it in a cruel or oppressive way. All right. What is going on? Who holds power? Zelensky might be the president. Who put him there? Zelensky might be the president, but who funds his government? What is he who controls the money controls the power, right? And controls everything. Is that not right? If I control the food and the money, I control the government and the nation. And how do you control the food? Through the money. If you have no money, you cannot buy the food. You cannot feed your people. If you have no money, you cannot continue with social services, with education, right? You can't fund your military, your spy industry. So despots behind the scene are pulling the strings of Zelensky. So how is all of this stuff piling on Zelensky? And I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to have it, but I'm saying that how can you do this and yet not acknowledge the despots behind the scene that promised this man? Remember, well, we'll stand with Ukraine. How many times they said, as long as it takes, as long as it takes, right? And now they're trying to say, oh, the funding is drying up. But I thought you said you will fund them until they win the war. You'll stand with them until they win the war. You'll provide them with the weapons needed to win the war. The war is not won by Ukraine, so you lied. And yet you pull the strings. So you are responsible. He is just the front man. And these people who continue to put all the blame on Zelensky without telling you this truth, man, they have a hidden agenda. I'm telling you this. These are the same people who, on one hand, will tell you about international law, and then when you show them what the international law says, oh, the hell with international law. Because it's not what they wanted. You understand? Let's go to the chat before I check out of this thing here. Let's see. Yeah, Xander says Europe and even Canada pays a tiny bit. But yeah, the U.S. is at least 90%. That's what I'm saying. Persevere. I got to put this up here real quick. Not sure how they're going to win the war with an empty treasury. That's what I'm saying. But this is what they were saying. And then you want to put all the blame on the back of the puppet. Now, listen. It's like the potter in the pot in the pottery. What is it? Serious biz. Right. Porcoshinko. I like that. Porcoshinko. Nice play on words. But think about this. You go to pottery class, you make a ceramic bowl, and it looks deformed, and you mad at the bowl that you made. Now you made it. You made the bowl. And now you're mad at the bowl because the bowl cannot hold what you want it to hold, but you are the potter. Make sense of that. Make sense of that. This is what I'm saying. The West never accepts responsibility, and they put fillers out to alternative media and mainstream media to so that they don't get the full blame of it, and they put the majority of the blame on the pawn that was being used to further American aggression, European aggression, UK aggression. They put all the blame as to clean their hands and say, hey, we can work with Russia. After all that, our goal is to bring Russia to its knees. Our goal is this and our goal is that. Now, all of that stuff, what you said, is on the back of Zelensky. And now you can go and try to strike up deals because you're hurting and you're ailing and you need Russia's help. But don't try to make it seem like Zelensky is making sovereign decisions for Ukraine when that's an impossibility. How many of you have ever told your children something like this? When you pay the bills, you call the shots. Right? Right? That's an apt saying. When Zelensky and Ukraine start paying the bills, maybe they can call the shots. But it's the United States overwhelmingly paying the bills. And you're telling me that they are allowing Zelensky to buck up against their policies and call the shots? Man, stop this. Stop this. Stop this. These people got to do better than this. See, the reason, and I'm going to bring up something to you all. The reason I'm taken out of the search engine and the reason that I can do an interview with a big name and only get 1,000 or 2,000 views is because they take me out the search engine because I ask questions and I allow the subject matter to be organic when I'm talking to the people. That is a no-no because through organic methods and being honest, you get more out of it. These other people will get 20, 30, 80, 100,000 $20,000 on the same person I interviewed. And on top of that, they'll get 10, 20,000 more subscribers. That's not cool. I'll ask you these. Think about this for those of you who have been around on this channel. You know what I'm saying is the truth. The stuff that some of the big alternative media channels are talking about today, I was trying to push them to do it a few days ago, a few weeks ago, a few months ago. And I was asking the question, why am I the only one saying these things? And now everybody's saying it. Now everybody has the cojones or have a little testicular fortitude to question Israel's position, to question the United States position. Right? But it's okay, so long as they get the questions. So long as we get this truth out to the people, because it's so many lives are at stake. We're living in the fall of America. I don't think you guys understand the time that we're living in. One world is dying and another world is coming in. We're looking at the collapse of American power globally. There has never been a nation as powerful as the United States in the last 6,000 years. And we're looking at a collapse of that in real time. And most of you don't take it to heart because it will never, ever go back to the way it was prior to these wars of aggression. America is so arrogant, that, and I'm talking about the government, okay, that she doesn't know how to say, I was wrong. She doesn't know how to say, I was wrong, and then put something behind it that acknowledges that she was wrong, to amend her ways. And this is what is at the base of what's causing her pillars to fall. Arrogance, hubris, greed, racism. Hell, America is no longer just racist against black people. America is racist against white people. The government is racist against, man, listen to me good. Listen. Man, this country is going to hell in a handbasket. And the people in power are turning against everybody to try to keep power. That shows you how desperate times are. Right? And they will sell their mothers to try to maintain their position. But we're in a new day, a new time. In the old world, the sun is starting to set. Right? The sun is starting to set. And we have to look just over the near horizon to see something more just, more fair, and better for the population of the planet Earth. We deserve it. We deserve better. And think about this before I close out. America says she must lead this new world order. That's what Joe Biden said. Crazy is back skit. But that's what he said. What makes you think we want you to rule the new world order? What makes you think? Look at the fine job you've done with this one. Look at all the war, the disease, the homelessness, the division, the disillusionment, the dissatisfaction, the corruption. This was on your watch, America. What makes you think that you have justified your position to rule in the next one? If anything, you should take a backseat, willingly take a backseat, so that somebody else can see if they have viable ideas to forge something new, more just and better for the population of the planet Earth, because we deserve it. We deserve something more than these lies, these wars, and this confusion that is constantly being pumped out by the Western world. It's here. All we have to do is hold on. Hold on. All right? On that note, thank you for joining me on the most powerful platform for truth, bar none, anywhere on the face of God's green earth. This is the Red Pill Diaries, and I'm your host, Rashid. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Share, spread it through word of mouth. Let everybody know, because that's the only way we can beat the algorithm. Also, if you haven't signed up, go on the other platforms on Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Odyssey, and Locals at theempowermentoftruth.locals.com. Sign up. It's free. Go to our Patreon. We have free and subscribe Patreon. Go over there to patreon.com/theredpilldiaries. Thank you all for joining me. It's been a wonderful time. Know that I love you if you love truth, but know that the true and living God will always love you better. Until we next speak again, Stay strong, stay true, but above all things, stay righteous. Hey, mama, your baby boy loves you more than life. Deuces, everybody. I'm out of here.